Good morning, my name is Dorothy Vu, and joining me here today are Auntie Lee, Nicole Vo. Today our program will feature a variety of news segments involving the various events that the VATV interns attended this past week. Our first segment will be about Frank Wolf, the Congressman of the 10th District of Virginia. Auntie, could you tell us a little bit about the event?
Well, fortunately, we were fortunate enough to attend a fundraising event on behalf of Congressman Frank Wolf at the house of Dr. Kwang Nguyen. And this event is basically to fundraise because he's going up for re-election in the fall. And so we were able to learn that Frank Wolf is a big proponent of human rights issues in Vietnam. And so a lot of the members of the Vietnamese community were present at this event.
Hi, my name is Auntie Lee for SBTN. We are here in Falls Church, Virginia at the residence of Dr. Kwang Nguyen. He has organized Vietnamese community members in support of Congressman Frank Wolf, who is up for re-election in the coming year.
As a part of his 2010 re-election campaign, Republican Congressman Frank Wolf of the 10th District of Virginia held a function in Falls Church, Virginia on Friday, June 25th. Hosted at the home of Dr. and Mrs. Kwan by the Ailariff Medical Group, Fairfax Pulmonary and Critical Care, and the International Committee to Support the Nonviolent Movement for Human Rights, the event gathered together many doctors and other members of the Vietnamese community in recognition of Frank Wolf's achievements. Dr. Kwan applauded the congressman on sponsoring a resolution against the violation of human rights and religious freedom in Vietnam. He expressed a highly favorable opinion of the congressman, admiring Wolf's dedication towards promoting human rights.
I organized this fundraiser for Congressman Frank Wolf because he has done a lot for human rights in Asia, especially in Vietnam. I could not tell you all of his noble work, but let me cite a few. Congressman Frank Wolf is one of the leading voice in Congress, criticizing the Vietnamese government for abusing human rights, for lack of freedom, democracy, and human rights in Vietnam. Especially, he emphasized for the lack of freedom of religion, freedom of association, and freedom of expression. And he also the author of several resolutions, and he sponsor and co-sponsor of several statements, resolution condemning the Vietnamese government for the lack of human rights in Vietnam. He also held several hearings in the Congress in regard of these issues, and he has invited Vietnamese members of the Vietnamese community to testify. And actually, Dr. Binh Nguyen, Dr. Thang Nguyen, and me were among them. And also, he's as chairman, co-chairman of the Tom Lantos Human Rights Commission. And that is the bipartisan organization of more than 100 House members, and which verifies and works on the abuse of human rights around the world to alleviate the abuse of human rights in the world. So that's why we want to help him and to support him.
After Dr. Kwan's introduction, Congressman Frank Wolf came to the stage and gave a brief speech detailing his concerns for the country and human rights in Vietnam.
We're going to continue to work on human rights and religious freedom. As you know, I was the author of the International Religious Freedom Bill, and the conditions in Vietnam are getting worse. They're not getting better. You would think after they got most favored nation trading status, they would have gotten worse. They've actually gotten better. They're persecuting Buddhist monks. They're persecuting the Catholic Church. They have Dr. Quay, who's been under house arrest and in jail for many, many times. They are persecuting bloggers. They're persecuting journalists. They're persecuting human rights activists. So it might be nice to get rid of the current American ambassador and put somebody in there who would view the American embassy in Vietnam to be an island of freedom, so that when any Vietnamese saw the American flag and saw the American embassy, they would know that that's an island of freedom. And I think a very good thing would be for the next administration to appoint a Vietnamese American, someone who was born in Vietnam, who understands the language, understands the culture, but is an American citizen, to be the American ambassador to Vietnam, so he or she could advocate for freedom, human rights, and religious freedom in Vietnam. So there's a lot to do. We have some fundamental economic problems. We're losing jobs. If you get on the train here in Washington, D.C. and take it up to New York City, just close your book, don't read the newspaper, look to the right and the left. The factories are closed, the windows are broken, the graffiti's on the wall. We're just not making things that we used to make and doing things that we used to do. So economically, we have a fundamental tough time, and there are, I think, and one of the reasons is, I think we got elected Republican Congress this year, and I'm going to kind of close on some comments with regard to that. Secondly, though, and this is important to you, I know, as it is to me and many others in this country, under this administration, we are one of the weakest advocates for human rights and religious freedom ever since I have served in Congress.
He expressed his concerns towards the struggling U.S. economy and focused on the large debt that U.S. has not paid off to China and other countries. Overall, he stated that the economic situation, as well as the lack of promotion of human rights and religious freedom in other countries, is a fundamental problem in the United States. Our next segment will feature an event that was held last Friday by MOVSA.
So MOVSA stands for the Mid-Atlantic Union of Vietnamese Student Associations, which comprises of 8 universities in Maryland, the DC area, and Virginia. And this event was to commemorate their the end of the year event, and also to bring together members of the Vietnamese community to commemorate their charity work for the Vietnamese Heritage Foundation.
On Friday, June 25th, the Mid-Atlantic Union of Vietnamese Student Associations, also known as MOVSA, hosted their 3rd annual charity gala at the Fortune Restaurant in Falls Church, Virginia. The theme of the event was Inspire Others, Impact the World. As MOVSA is comprised of the Vietnamese student associations from 8 major schools in the Mid-Atlantic region, the purpose of the gala was to bring together representatives from each of these schools, along with other Vietnamese community members, in recognition of Vietnamese culture. Proceeds from this event, which totaled up to over $4,000, were donated to the Vietnamese American Heritage Foundation, an organization that is currently proposing a 500 oral history project in order to carry out their goal of preserving Vietnamese history, heritage, and identity.
MOVSA is an alliance of the 8 major Vietnamese student associations in the area. I am the current president. I coordinate the monthly meetings with the representatives and the leaders of each school. We meet once a month. We compare ideas, we compare notes, try to develop ways to make the Vietnamese student associations better and more improved, run more smoothly.
How many students are involved with MOVSA from each school?
It varies from school to school. Our smallest school has maybe 10 members, our largest school has 400. So I think altogether we have roughly about 1,000, 1,500 maybe. This event is pretty much our year-end our year-ender. We're celebrating all our culture show achievements. We're celebrating our charity work. Tonight in particular, we're celebrating our exceptional members and exceptional leaders that did really outstanding work throughout the school year. Each year we pick one charity. The 8 schools pick one charity to raise for in common. This year was the Vietnamese American Heritage Foundation. So later tonight we're presenting them with a giant check of all the money that we've raised this year. So this will be capping that off. And then any other donations that we accept throughout the year will go straight towards MOVSA and our programs, because we recently got our 501c3 nonprofit status.
One of the biggest problems we have within MOVSA is that not all of our schools know what we are. We're kind of brand new. We started about 4 years ago. And within each of the colleges, each of the students, they don't know what MOVSA is. They know what VSA is, but they don't know what MOVSA is. So one of the biggest things I want to do is to bring out our name into each of the schools and show them that we can, we're there to help them. And if they need us, we're always there to show them kind of like a path. We always go to, we have a lot of members in our region. We contribute to the local events, local community. I know Long is going to take over the Death Room 2 project at Eden Center, so there's been some contribution there. And also every year we pick a collective philanthropy project that we donate our money to, so we're always working hard for the community.
The event celebrated Vietnamese culture through a variety of performances, including cultural dances, song performances, and a fashion show. Exemplified how those of the young generation are carrying out the goals of the Vietnamese American Heritage Foundation, as they continue to celebrate the Vietnamese traditions and other aspects of Southern Vietnamese culture that have been struggling to stay in existence after the infamous Vietnam War.